This week's episode of The Grid is sponsored by Mpix. Shoot today, upload tonight, we ship tomorrow. On One Software, focused on photography. Peach Pit Press, publishers of technology books, ebooks, and videos for creative people. Epson, exceed your vision. Expo Imaging, rogue flash vendors for speedlight enthusiasts. Intel, the power you need for hardcore creatives. Squarespace, everything you need to create an exceptional photography website. And B&H Photo, the professional source.
Hi everybody, welcome back to The Grid Live, brought to you by Kelby Media Group and all the folks behind KelbyTraining.com. My name is Matt Klaskowski and I'm joined in the studio by Mr. RC Concepcion.
What's going on, everybody? How you guys doing? What's going on, man?
Hi, we haven't been on a show together in a while.
I know.
Cool, man.
Been running around.
I know, everybody's been busy, but we are back. And so Scott is not here today. Scott is actually teaching his Shoot Like a Pro tour in Dallas, I think, or someplace.
Yeah, Arlington, Texas, I think, was the last place that he was. He was in Miami, then he was out in Arlington, Texas. If you want to see any of the places, just make sure you go to Kelby Training Live, and that's going to have all of the dates and locations for all of the tours.
Cool. All right, a couple things before we get started. First off, the Worldwide Photo Walk is rapidly approaching, and there's almost like 1,000 photo walks that are going on right now, and there's still room for plenty of photo walkers. So if you're out there and you're looking for a photo walk, make sure you hit the Worldwide Photo Walk website. There's a ton of great prizes that are going to be there. Canon's giving away a 70D. What else is there? Adobe's giving away a full Creative Cloud membership.
Right. There's the Canon printer.
Right.
Westcott's going to give away some lights.
Westcott, there's a lot of prizes in this thing. So
if you want to just kind of see, and they're constantly at it. Like I've been managing a lot of the stuff. Brad Moore kind of runs the day-to-day of that, but I kind of oversee it. And Brad will turn around and send me an email and be like, we got this prize. We've got this prize.
Yeah,
it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. If you want to take a look at all of that stuff, make sure that you go to worldwidephotowalk.com. That's the place that's going to go. And the one thing that you should keep in mind with all of this stuff is, if there's one thing that I think you should do is, you should get a Worldwide Photo Walk shirt.
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
So this is what happens every year. They do the Worldwide Photo Walk, and there's a shirt that's sold. What happens with the profits of that?
100% of the profits from the t-shirt sales goes to the Springs of Hope Orphanage in Africa. So
it's a good feel.
You get a cool shirt. Everybody loves t-shirts, and you get to give a little bit too. So make sure you go to the Worldwide Photo Walk website. You can sign up for a walk there, join in, pick up a shirt, check out all the prizes. Yeah. All right, so we're not going to jump into it just yet because we're going to take a very quick break. But our topic today came up when you and I were talking yesterday, because I knew RC was going to be here, and I was like, hey, we'll do the grid together. And one of us brought up, we started talking about printing, and we just decided, there's a lot of questions that we get about print these days.
Right.
And we decided, RC's like, dude, let's do the live printing show. Right. And as we started talking about it, we realized it had a lot of legs to it. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to come back from the break, and we're going to jump right to it. In the meantime, don't forget one of our sponsors, Peach Pit Press. They have every show. We have a digital ebook deal of the week, and this one actually it actually fits. I don't think it was planned that way, but it actually fits. So it's called The Digital Print: Prepping Images in Lightroom and Photoshop for Printing. It's by Jeff Shiwi. Jeff's one of the masters on the topic. You get 40% off, which I think it's somewhere around $23.99, and all you got to do is go over to peachpit.com/KelbyTV, and you use the promotion or coupon code KelbyTV.
Yeah. At one point or another, Jeff Shiwu will be on the show and say, this is why what you just said is wrong. But that's okay.
Jeff will, but Jeff's a good guy.
I love your book. That is a good book, dude.
Yeah,
I've been thumbing through it. I'm really, really happy about the book. But he is one of the big guys on the printing thing, so we like him. We like him a lot. All
right, so guys, we will be right back in just a few minutes. See you then.
This class isn't just a what's in my bag, but it's also a why it's in my bag. Every piece of gear has to have a purpose. It's about the photography, and it's not about the equipment. We brought 4 local photographers into the studio to bounce questions and answers off of, and talk about the gear and what it would mean to them in their life. You need a camera, you need a lens, and some light. I'm Zach Arias, and check out this class on calibtraining.com.
We are back live on the grid. We're going to jump into our topic here, which is printing. Before we do that, we've got a couple seminars coming up. You're going to be in Phoenix November 1st with your Photoshop seminar. I've got Portland, Oregon. I'll be there October 11th, so just under a month away. I know I got Sacramento this fall.
The easiest thing
the
for
best
you guys
place,
to
go
do,
to the website.
Take a look at this. Go to calibtraining.com, calibtraining.com/live. This will get you to pretty much anywhere you need to go. So calibtraining.com/live. And then in here, you'll see all of the different seminars. There's Scott Kelby's seminar, there's Matt, there am I, there's Ben Wilmore, there's
Best thing to do, click on all dates, right at the top.
So just go to all dates. This will show you everything that's happening. So there's Livonia, there's Arlington, Texas, and then next month, there's all of those. Then in November, there we go. So great way to keep in mind.
All right, our topic today. So
Printing.
our topic today, printing. And we thought we were talking about this earlier. We thought a good way to bring everybody into the topic was to talk about a little bit about the current state of printing, but also why print. And I want to make sure we kind of tip our hat to Dano. Dan Steinhardt from Epson, and he kicked off what became this huge thought that I thought we could start off with, which is why print. So think about it this way. Grab my phone. Everybody shows their photos on their phone and their iPad. So, and what you hear a lot of people saying is, why print? Because this is becoming the place where we show off our photos. And I don't disagree with that, but what you won't replace with the print is that it's got value. It's got permanence. It's got value. What this doesn't have is either of those things, okay? Because here's what's going to happen. There's a new iOS update today. You know how many people are not going to back up their phones, install the iOS update, and something's going to crash, and they're going to have to reinstall from scratch on their phone, and they're going to lose every image that they ever had on here. All right, it happens constantly. First of all, everything looks good on here too. Okay, everything looks good on an iPad. And Dan had said, and you were talking to him.
We were talking about it, and he said the one thing that was memorable about it is that one of the trends that he's seeing. Now, obviously, full disclaimer: Dano works for Epson. So he works for a print company. So
but he
he's
can hang.
always involved. Dano
if anybody can hang, Dano
can hang.
can
Dano's a phenomenal photographer, and he can hang, and he knows a lot about this stuff. So we geek out. We're texting each other late at night, last night, and we're talking about this. And he said one of the things that you'll see out there is you see this general trend of mediocre pictures being put on tablet devices. And mediocre pictures on tablet devices, they look okay. They're all right.
Sometimes they look great.
Sometimes they look great.
You could take a picture of a garbage can with this thing, and it looks good.
But once you translate that over to a print, it doesn't necessarily hold up, and you're just beginning to see kind of mediocre stuff. And the tendency that he's kind of saying there is that the print really does kind of serve as like the end point of all of this, and that a lot of people don't really kind of take advantage of that and don't take advantage of it. And it kind of dovetailed. And one of the reasons that you're kind of on this set talking about it is because we want to answer some questions about it. And we're very passionate about it. We're very passionate about wanting to talk to people about the print because it is the final step of the process. And it's one of those steps that's very, it's taken advantage of. Nobody really talks about it. Nobody really does anything with it.
Can I set something up? And then, because imagine this, okay? You're somewhere and you have I'm holding this up because I don't have my iPad with me, but you're somewhere and you show, let's say, this is not my photo, this is RC's photo, great photo. Let's say I have it on my iPad, and you show somebody on your iPad. That's great. This person may walk by. This person can look at your iPad and say, wow, I love that photo. They may think you're a great photographer, They may think your skills are awesome. They may think all these different things. You know what happens when they walk away? They go back to life. They don't have your iPad in front of them anymore. They don't have your social media page or your website in front of them anymore. They go back to life and they forget about it, okay? Now, they still may have thought you're a great photographer. When you hand somebody this, it's permanent. It now has value. Forget about monetary value of whether or not you're making money from this. So for purposes right now, throw that out the window. I don't care if you're selling the print to somebody or you gave it to somebody. That's not what I'm talking about. It now has value and it's got permanence. Because what happens now is that, number one, it makes a much bigger impact than an iPad ever will when you hand somebody this size of a photo. You know, you show somebody this or this. What would you rather see? But number two is this person who this photo was for now takes it back to their house, puts it up on their wall, and every single time that they walk past it, they're reminded of the experience of the photo, but also the photographer that took that photo.
Right.
And now you have a permanent place, and that's where the value comes in. Whether or not that value is monetary or not, that's what the print does that your iPad or your iPhone can't do.
It's also one of those things, I think, and we're going about it right now, talking about it from you're handing it to somebody, right? You're giving something to somebody, and we'll talk about that in a second. But one of the things that I think that psychologically we don't think about when we talk about photography is the fact that when you have stuff on these devices, when you have stuff on top, and you're talking to a person who absolutely loves iPhones, iPads, technology, and all of that stuff. The way I see it is everybody takes pictures. Few people are photographers, right? So what happens is I show you a whole bunch of pictures here. I can't tell you how many times people are like, you took that with your phone? You did this?
Yeah.
You did, and I'm like, no, it's just here. But they're very disposable. Can you send me one of those? Yeah, sure, I can just do it right here. How flippant is that?
Yep.
It's very flippant to turn around and just go, oh yeah, look at my picture. Everybody has pictures. My mom has pictures on her phone. Everybody has pictures. However, those pictures do not translate to these pictures, to the pictures that you have here, to the pictures that you put in your hand, to the pictures that you put on your wall. And I think that when you take a look at thousands and thousands of pictures that you kind of casually take, to following it all the way through to a print that you would hand to somebody, to a print that you would put on your wall, you'll find that you'll go, well, maybe I got to look at this picture again.
And that
maybe I gotta recompose this. Maybe I've got to work on this picture a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I think that, in my personal opinion, there are tons of people that are doing pictures. I think it really does separate people taking pictures from being photographers.
And it's not the same correlation, but a few weeks ago, Scott and I did a show on why you need a portfolio. And it was because it gave you a reference point. Gave you a point where you could see your photography, progress all the time. If that web portfolio didn't change over 3 years, you knew your photography hadn't progressed over 3 years.
Right.
I think it's the same type of a concept.
I do want to get into something because I keep darting my eyes down, and we have a couple of different things here. We've got Pete Collins off to the right doing double duty, right? So he's checking forums and he's putting questions up, but I want to make sure that I'm also looking at here and making sure that we're answering questions. But one of the common things that I'm seeing is that scrolling up is, well, inks are expensive, inks are expensive, inks are expensive, and I'm like, well, cameras are expensive. Lenses are expensive. Your tripods are expensive. And people are like, well, but the inks and the paper and the inks and the paper. And I'm like, if I try to sell this or give this to somebody, I'm not charging people $5.99 for this, right? And I think it plays a little bit. I have an entire class that I'm doing on Calibration.
That's why we're here. So we should explain this, because we didn't just throw a whole bunch of equipment in here just for the heck of it.
Right. I'm actually doing a class on Calibration called Print Pack Ship. Right. It's a loose title.
Yep.
But basically what happens is that a lot of people will get a printer, like forget about the printer in the back. Right? We love this printer, that's a great printer, but forget about it for a second. There's a lot of people that own these kinds of printers, right here, the Epson 3880. There's a lot of people that own that printer. I did a whole thing on that printer. It's the Epson R3000. Very budget printers that do phenomenal prints. But what'll happen is somebody will turn around and go, I love that shot, can you send me, I'd like to get a print.
Yeah.
How much is it? And people are like, I don't know. I don't know how to price it. I don't know how to print it. I don't even know how to where do I get the paper? How do I get the print out and get it to that person where I don't look like an idiot? Do I roll it up? Do I put it in an envelope? So I wanted to do a class that kind of showed, if you want to do this for this specific purpose, these are the things that you need to keep in mind, right? I'm unabashed about telling people my print's gonna cost probably about $500, $1,000, something around that space. When somebody feels the paper, when they take a look at the print, when it comes to them, there's a psychology that you have when you work with all of this stuff. It's going to feel worth it. Mm-hmm. Does this mean that everybody needs to get a printer and have a printer in their house? No.
Nope.
Not at all. You have online labs, and we have a bunch of different examples that we want to show you of where we go for labs.
We actually have an unboxing.
We have an unboxing.
Because yesterday about 1 o'clock, we decided to do this. Mm-hmm. So literally like 24 hours ago. And so we sent some images to Mpix, which is our lab, mm-hmm. and they sent the box. You know, I mean, they come in a day.
Now, there is one thing that I want to say with this comment, and we'll go back and we're going to answer some more questions on this, but there is a bunch of different things that people turn around and they say, well, labs versus doing it at home. This is just my opinion. I've gotten into the photography side of it because I want to take a look at it as a print. Not that I want to start quoting dead people again, but Ansel Adams, right, had the best quote for all of that kind of stuff, right? So it's the negative is the score. It's what you do, generally what you set up. The print is the performance. Yeah. When you look at the print, that's what you're actually measuring it by. So for me, there are times that I want to eat out. I don't want to make food. So I'll go to the Mexican restaurant down the road and they perfectly good. I go and I pay them, they give me the food back. Online services are just like that. You perfectly good, you give them the money, they give you the prints. These look good, these look great. You can go to a fine dining restaurant and they'll give you an amazing meal and it'll be very expensive. Those are high-end print places. But when I want control over the entire process, and you didn't get into photography to hand control off to other people, you want control of the entire process. When I want full control, when I want to put my signature on a piece of paper and go, this is my print, that's when I do it at home.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it goes to the type of person and also what you're printing for, right? Mm-hmm. What I'm going to hang on my wall, unless I'm going to hang an acrylic or a canvas or something like that, mm-hmm. What I'm going to hang on my wall, I'm like, a lot of times, or for someone else, a lot of times I'll print it. But if I want to send someone a framed photo, if I want to send someone an acrylic, if I want to send someone a canvas, that's when I go to a lab. I do my own printing sometimes, but I also go to a lab. If I want a ton of 4x6s, I go to a lab. I'm not mm-hmm. going to print 4x6s, and that kind of tells us into the state of printing, because we talked a little bit about where printing's at. So I think what you'll find, photographers are still very, very much printing their work. I'm amazed every time I do my Lightroom seminar, I get to the print portion of the day, and I show of hands, how many people are actually physically printing their own work? Actually, go home, have a printer home, and printing their own work, and it's half of the room. Hands go up. And I'm amazed. I mean, it's hung like that for years and years and years, although you keep hearing people saying, oh yeah, nobody's printing these days. People are still absolutely printing these days. So I think what you'll find is photographers are definitely still printing their work. Photographers going to send their work to somebody, again, in an acrylic or something like that. Chances are we'll get a lab to do it. Where I think you'll find a change is a level down in maybe the hobbyist prosumer area, family area. I think what you'll find is a lot of that has gone to either online, Facebook, mm-hmm. Instagram, or something like that, mm-hmm. and or it's gone to a printing service of some sort. So mm-hmm. years ago, every inkjet printer in the store was touting, print your family photos. Mm-hmm. And they had the little 4x6 paper right next to the printers and everything like that. Print your family photos, you print your own family photos. No longer do you gotta go to Walmart and have them printed out. And I think we've moved away from that. Mm-hmm. I think if you go to Best Buy or you go to one of your electronic stores, number one, you're gonna see a lot less of those printers mm-hmm. that are geared to try to get the normal everyday person to print their photos at home. Mm-hmm. I think the industry has realized that people aren't doing that they're, in an hour, I could send them to CVS, which is right down the street from me, and CVS will have them all done in an hour for $6.70.
Or Mpix. You can turn around and just ship them off to Mpix.
Mpix has an iPhone app, and the best thing that I do is I try to do it every month. Sometimes I get it done every 2 months, but what I try to do is I try to get my iPhone photos mm-hmm. from the month, which are a bunch of family photos, and I just upload them to the app and have them sent to the house. Mm-hmm. Because that way I constantly have this influx of photos coming into the house mm-hmm. of the family photo. And the kids love them. The kid, like we think our kids are stuck in the digital age, and I thought so for a long time. You see my kids flip out when they get prints of something. They think it's the coolest thing in the world. So everybody still very much likes to print.
There's a psychology about that kind of stuff, and I think that that's one of those things. I mean, I could go on and talk about that stuff for hours, but it's like there's a reason that I get really excited about using printers and working on printers. And I have a printer at home, and I'm working on paper, and I'm spending a lot of time investing in all of that stuff. And it all started with one day, I have people come into my house, and they walked into my house. Yeah, it was an earthquake, sorry.
We just watched ourselves shift on the screen.
So the people came over to the house, and it's a total unabashed feel-good moment for myself. They walked into my house, and they were just like, oh, this is really, really nice. This is cool. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that print. Look at that print. Who took these pictures? And I was like, me. They're like, oh, you're a photographer. And I'm like, I guess I am. This is really cool. Yeah. So for me, a lot of the times, I think that as photographers, we look for that kind of validation. We look for validation. Are we photographers? Are we doing the best that we can? Putting it up on a wall, putting it on somebody's wall, I think is one of the best ways for you to do it.
It's like that portfolio.
Yeah.
It gives you that point and that place. All right, we're going to take a very quick break. When we get back from that break, one of the first things we want to jump into is paper. Paper is kind of the first choice that you have to decide on for a print, because all papers are all different, and the way I think a photo works better for one paper than another. Certain types of photos, landscapes look good on something, portraits look good on other things, black and white looks good on things. So I think paper is one of the first places that we wanted to start with, and as you can see, we have no shortage of paper behind us. So we will see you right back here in just a minute.
Hey guys, I'm Bill Fortney, and welcome to Old Car City. This is a really neat place to come to make photographs. We're going to learn field techniques for photographing Americana subjects like old cars and trucks, graphics, color, rust. Please join us in the upcoming class on Kelby Training, Bill Fortney in the Field at Old Car City.
We're back live on the grid with water bottles all over the floor. All right, so we're talking about printing, and we left off with we're going to jump into paper.
Right, but before we do any of that stuff, there were
before
a couple
we do that, we have something.
There were questions that had come in. One of the first questions that came in, and we're looking through the chat, is, all right, well, printing is good. What's a good printer to just kind of get started on? Right. What's a good printer to be able to do? Basic. I'm not looking for the Mondo killer. I'm looking for something to just get me into the game. I got to be honest with you guys. That printer right there is a really, really good printer, the Epson R3000. It's a wireless printer. It does 13 by 19. It does roll. You can set it up to be able to do roll. You can print on media. I don't know who would want to print on a CD anymore, but you can do it. You can do great black and white. You can do fine art media, which is something that I like. And it's not that bad. I actually have a YouTube link. I'm going to try to see if I could find it. But I have an entire series that I did, just like 8 or 9 classes that I did just on using the R3000. It's actually very, very easy to use and very, very into a good starter printer for you to be able to keep at home. So,
and I think what I would say is you're pretty much not going to go wrong with an Epson or Canon printer. Like those are really like two of the big names in the printing industry, and I venture to say they don't really have a bad printer that's out there. So you can get away with just about anything.
Although I will tell you this, a lot of the times, if you see somebody who's actually doing printing, like a good middle of the road kind of the printer that everybody wants, that's the printer right there.
Yeah.
That's the printer right
this
there.
Printer.
The Epson 3880 is a phenomenal printer. 17 by 22, front, back loaded. Can do really, I mean, I've done like 410 GSM paper on it. I think it's a really, really nice.
Yeah, I know you love the 7900, but I, you know, for some reason the 7900 intimidates the crap out of me.
I think it's just fast.
I know. It's just, I always go to this printer because it's just like.
I have a 7880 at home, and whenever it starts up, all you hear is, and I'm like, man, I wish I had the 7900. And it sucks. But
7880 at home?
Yeah. Now,
do you have a server room at home too?
No, I haven't. Never mind. But anyway, so the 3880 is a really, really good printer if you want to kind of step up from that. But R3000, you're going to knock out a ton of prints that way. I think that's a great way for you to start.
Okay.
Now,
paper.
What kinds of papers are there? There's shiny papers, there's matted papers, there's textured papers, there's metallic papers. I think, well, you print a lot on glossy papers, right?
Yeah, I think the answer varies. Unfortunately, it's there's not a formula. A lot of it's personal. I personally like glossy. So personally, for me, like when I see prints, glossy is what stands out to me. So it's like Mpix. And this was done at Photoshop World, but they actually let me steal it. I actually just ripped it off of their booth at Photoshop World. But this is glossy. This is acrylic. I love glossy. When I say to me, that's my favorite type of a thing to look for prints. So, and luckily, I'm into landscapes. So I happen to shoot something that really translates very, very well to a glossy paper. So for me, I'm not like an extra glossy, like premium luster, Epsom's premium luster paper. Probably one of my favorite papers out there. I think my second favorite's Exhibition Fiber. Exhibition Fibers.
Oh, that's back here.
And Exhibition Fiber is to me, this is probably one of my favorites because it's kind of a mix between the two. It's not so shiny and so glossy that you get, if you get too glossy, I think you get more of a, I don't know what the word I'm looking for.
This is like the hardest thing for you to do on a show is to turn around and go, take a look at this paper.
Yeah.
It's a square white sheet. Yeah. Like you can't tell. But there's a couple of things that I think you could do is this. It sounds dumb, but listen. This does not feel like the paper that you get out of Walmart.
Yeah.
It feels thicker. It has a little bit of weight to it. It doesn't bend as easy as a print that you would get out of Walmart. So when you hand this to somebody, they're going, fancy. Yep. And that's the psychology that you're kind of looking for when you have that paper. You have that kind of gloss, sheen. That's something that's really good. Now,
so I'm a glossy person. RC.
The super glossy.
Oh yeah.
Right?
That's metallic.
Yeah, this is a metallic
Red
paper.
River.
So this is a Red River paper, and it's called, I think it's like a polar pearl metallic. This, for some HDR shots, I thought were really, really good. But you'll notice that as I'm holding it, the paper does have a bit of a weight to it. Right? So it's very bendy. Right? So it does.
As opposed to, like, if you just hold yours.
Right. Mine droops.
You could see the difference.
Right? But now, obviously, it's bigger. Obviously, there's a big difference to that. But what it loses in that kind of stiffness, it gains in this metallicness.
Colors scream on polar metallic paper. Absolutely, positively scream.
I'm a big fan of Red River Polar Metallic. I think they do a great job.
And then the types of photos. You know, what you'll find is, I think, I probably wouldn't take a family out to a park and take some nice family photos and print them on polar metallic. But landscapes, HDR, waterfalls, dark images with a lot of deep, dark colors and shadows inside of them really tend to just stand out and scream off of that polar metallic paper. I don't know why I use the word scream, but scream just comes to mind when I think of it.
Nice. You're a screamer. That's fine. It's good. Now, for me, one of the things, now I tend to be on the opposite side of the fence, right? So there's two ink types that you have. You have photo black ink, generally, and then you have what's called a matte black ink. And a lot of that has to do with how the ink absorbs on the paper and how tough the paper is and how smooth the paper is and how much it absorbs, right? Something called docking. Now, with me, I don't tend to look at any of that stuff, of the absorption of all of that stuff. I tend to look at the psychology of things. And again, everybody's going to have a different opinion on this, but imagine if I told you this. Imagine if I told you, I'm gonna sell you a print and my print is gonna cost you $500, right? You're gonna buy a $500 print. When you buy a $500 print, you don't wanna pick up a sheet of paper and have it feel like the same print that you could get at Walmart. If that happens, remember, people are gonna confirm whether or not they spent good money the moment that they open this print. So the presentation, you know who's really good at this? And I'm unabashed, a lot of this stuff I picked up from my mentor, Moose Peterson. When you get a print from Moose Peterson, it is a work of art. The entire experience is catered to from the beginning. So for me, those couple of seconds are gonna be the seconds that you're gonna turn around and you're gonna go, this is why I spent this money on this art. So I don't think that you get that a lot with shiny papers or bendy shiny papers. I do like them for their colors, but I think that on the weight, you just don't feel it. I tend to use a lot of cotton-based papers. So I use things like Hahnemühle. I love the exhibition paper from the Signature Series exhibition paper from Epson. They have two types of papers. They have a cold press and they have a hot press. A hot press paper, they're all cotton-based papers. They're really, really soft. Hot press has a really, really smooth surface. Cold press has a very, very textured surface. But they're both, I use bright, so they all use like this brightener on them. They're both bright. But when you feel this paper, so this shot, it's gonna be really hard for you to tell on this. This was here. Actually, this picture right here is a picture that was shot on exhibition fiber paper. So this picture is of my friend Kenna, right? And this was shot on exhibition fiber paper. And if I tip it, you'll see that there's a little bit of a glare to it, right? Now, if I hold it in my hand, it has a little bit of a waviness to it, right? It has a little bit of, it still feels good, but I look at it and I go, that's pretty good. Now, this picture was printed on hot press bright paper. Now, if you notice, if I bring this up here, right?
No shine.
No shine whatsoever. That's a matte paper. It's a cotton-based paper. It has a little bit of a bend, but it's soft and it's a heavy paper. So when somebody pulls this out of a box and they look at it, what they're gonna see are things like the paper, the feel of this paper, the signature on the lower right-hand corner. We'll talk about signatures and all of that stuff. And they're gonna go, oh, wow, this feels unlike anything that I get on a store. Yeah. And I think that kind of psychology helps out a lot when you're working with that.
A quick question that's applicable here. So it says, I have to look off screen because our questions are over here, but it says, RC, if the print is behind the glass in the frame, will you open the frame and show your guests the paper it was printed on?
No, you won't. But the confirmation that you get from that, think about this again, it goes back to the psychology of it. I spent $500 on this paper, on this print. I hold it. I'm placing an immediate value on this the moment that I go, look at that, I'm gonna put this thing up on a frame. When that goes up on your wall, you're gonna look at that print and you're gonna remember what you did with your hands. That doesn't change, right? So what happens with that is, it's kind of like wine, right? Why would you spend $1,400 on a bottle of wine? Because once you drink it, you don't remember what it tasted. Oh, but it was just so beautiful. You don't remember that. What you think about is that one moment. You think about what happened at that one point in time, and that's your point of reference.
When you took the wine glass and you went like that, you saw the legs go down.
I think people are faking when they do that.
No, you go like they get the little legs as they trickle down the side of the glass.
But that's the thing. I tell people all the time, I'm like, people will find your print to be justified from the moment that they put it in their hands. When they put it up on the wall, that's what they'll talk about. So.
All right, questions. So any papers you would not recommend?
If you're just starting,
I don't personally like ultra glossy. Ultra glossy has an 80s feel for it to me. Ultra, like the glossiest of glossy paper, typically just has I don't know what the best word to describe it. I think 80s. I don't know.
No, I can see that. But I see it as a very CVS-y kind of look.
Yeah, that's a good.
It doesn't have a lot of weight.
Good.
Right? I would stay away from, a lot of the times, I would stay from super, super heavy papers and this isn't a, I would stay away from it because I don't think they look bad. I just think that if that's the first paper that you start, I'll show you something. Watch this. Hold up. So this, and I was doing this earlier, and I was totally geeking out, and people hated it. But it was like, this is Hahnemühle. So Hahnemühle Fine Art. So this is one of my favorite papers. It's a 410 GSM. This is Monet Canvas. This is a Monet Canvas paper, Matt. 410 GSM.
I'm dying here.
Look at this.
Oh, dude, holy crap. I immediately started reaching under it thinking that must have been 2 pieces of paper.
Yeah, but feel how soft this is.
Oh, yeah, it's like a blanket. I can go night-night with
Go
it.
night-night with it.
Night-night.
But this paper is a little difficult to be able to work with when you're printing on stuff. But I tell you, the colors on this are beautiful when you do this. There's a psychology to this, right? So I like canvas printing. We'll talk about canvas, what I do on canvas in a sec. But there's a psychology to this. If this comes out and people are like, oh my God, look at this. It's a cloth. That's what you're selling.
Yeah.
That's what you're selling.
So we like Hahnemühle. Epson printers, or like I said, Epson printers are some of our Epson papers are some of our favorite. Red River is also one of the big ones that's out there. Red River's got a lot of stuff. Somebody asked a question that I saw in the chat room. But yeah, like Red River, they said, doesn't Red River only work for Epson? I believe you can go to Red River's website, but I believe you can download profiles for lots of other printers. So the way that you want to think about it is there's a profile for the paper, and that's going to be one of the steps when we get into the printing portion, that you have to download the profile for the paper. But I believe if we went to, can you go there really quick?
Sure. So when you get a paper,
I'm pretty sure that Red River never said, hey, we're not going to work with anybody else but Epson.
So here's the Red River Paper website, right? Inject Papers. We're going to click on this.
Click here.
Then from here, we're going to go to Shopper Papers. Now, once you have the paper,
you go to ICC.
You're just going to go over here to ICC Color Profiles. No thanks, I don't want to sign up. All right, we're going to go to the color profiles. You're going to find the paper that you're looking for. There's the Epsons.
Yeah, there's Canon. I can see it already.
Canon profiles, HP profiles.
So, yeah.
So you're going to find the paper that you want. You're going to go over here to wide format. We're going to click on that. And now, there's new 68-pound Ultra Pro Satin. Here's the Polar Pearl Metallic for all weights. So if I were using the Polar Pearl Metallic paper, I would come over here and I would click on that. That's going to download this file. We may as well just cover it because we're here already. Let's just do it, right? So now I'll take this file and I'm going to take these ICC profiles and I'm going to install them, right? That one ICC profile is what I'm going to install on my computer. Once I install it on the computer, and we'll talk about this during the print pack ship class, we'll talk about how to install that profile. Once you do...
And they've got directions on their website.
They have directions on their website to be able to do that. Now, inside of here, so here's the print that I had inside of Lightroom, right? From here, I'm going to turn around and I'm going to say, all right, well, where's my page? I'm going to set up my page. We'll talk about that in a sec. We'll set up the print, talk about that. But over here under the color management section, you'll have an area that says, what color profile do you want to use? You click on this, you go to other, usually, and inside of here, you'll find the Red River color profile. Now, I know it's not going to be under the E's, so I'll just scroll down until I find Red River Polar Pearl Metallic. I click on that. That's the one that I want to use. I click OK, and now I'm printing to that profile.
And can I tell you guys, the step that he just demonstrated there is 99% of any problems that we ever see when it comes to printing.
Yes.
When it comes, and mostly color problems, okay? A lot of people say, hey, I calibrated my screen, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. You gotta download the profile for the paper. And that's the key thing, is it's not printer based, it's based on the paper that you have, because all papers handle ink differently. So whenever somebody comes up and says, I got a problem, the color's off, it's not doing this, not doing that, I say, well, did you download the right profile? Huh? You get that look like, What are you talking about?
I went to the Epson site. No, that's a driver, not a profile.
Yeah, exactly. It's not the driver. It's not the driver that installed with your printer. It's the profiles for the paper. And that is really one of the biggest key steps. Okay, we're going to take a break.
We'll take a break. We've got a couple questions
do our
on
unboxing
calibration.
when we get back?
Yeah, we're going to do it because we're going to talk about online services.
All right.
So this is all the home stuff.
I'm dying to open this.
I know. So we're going to talk about color spaces. We'll talk about printer calibration just a little bit, ink consumption. We'll talk about that, and then we're going to talk about the services that we use to be able to do that.
You're going to make me wait till the end of the show, aren't you?
I'm not, I promise. Stick around, we'll be right back.
Whether you love to read ebooks on your iPad, consider your Kindle your best friend, or addicted to your Nook, PeachPit ebooks are for you. When you purchase your ebooks from PeachPit, you get 3 formats. That means you can easily read them on any device of your choice. Or if you're in the mood to read on your computer, we supply you with the PDF. Head on over to PeachPit today to get an ebook for 40% off.
Hey everybody, we are back with our live printing show. Matt Klaskowski here with RC Concepcion.
Hey, what's going on?
And we last left you, so we'd finished kind of talking about papers and installing profiles.
Right.
We got a couple questions here. Let's see. You want to jump in on some questions?
Sure. Spend some time on color space, like why ProPhoto doesn't work well with a lot of print services. By tones. A lot of print services do work well with ProPhoto, right? But a lot of the times, all of their stuff is usually just based on sRGB, right? So all they're doing is just taking all of, so think of it this way, ProPhoto has a really, really wide, it's like a box of crayons of like 2,000, right? Then Adobe RGB has a box of crayons of, let's say, 150. Then sRGB has a box of crayons of, let's say, about 75 or whatever it is. So it's just getting smaller. What print companies a lot of the times do is they're trying to service a large portion of people, and what they'll do is they'll shoot for the most commonly used section. So even though you're working with all of these different colors in these way off lands of super reds and super blues, a lot of that stuff can get translated down into this one specific color space that a lot of people can use in one spot. If you're going to send stuff like Nash editions, or you're doing any kind of like super big print work that's like color calibrated, they'll be able to support that stuff. But it's not that they don't, it's just that they're serving the lowest common denominator.
Yeah. All right, let's see. RC Matt, can you comment on the need for printer calibration? The images are RGB and the printers are using CMYK, correct?
No, not correct.
Is the calibration needed because different color schemes or types? Okay, so let's because I think we're about at that part too, calibration. So let's talk a little bit about that. Do we have?
No, you didn't bring your calibrator.
Crap,
Okay.
I thought we were here. RC's going to pull up a website. You buy these little calibration devices. They're about the size of a mouse. That's why I'm holding up RC's mouse. I'll give it back to you so you can actually find the website. Color calibration, it's a device that hangs over your screen, all right? And then what it does is there's software behind it. It runs colors in front of this device. The device reads it. It knows it should be reading red, but it looks at the red that's on your screen and it says, hey, is this the red that I should be reading? And if it's not, it makes an adjustment to a profile that eventually gets applied to your screen. So that's essentially what color calibration is it's making sure that the colors that you're looking at on your screen are indeed the colors that you think that they are. So there's a picture of it.
There's the one that we
And that
use.
just hangs over your screen, okay?
Not all the time. You just calibrate it and then you're done and you pull it out.
You're supposed to do it like once a week or once a month, and we usually do it every 6 months or 2 years. So that's your calibration. Now, that is monitor calibration, screen calibration. There's print calibration. What print calibration does, it's another device. Sometimes it could be the same device. And what it does is you run a test print through. So you don't calibrate it all, you run a test print through, and it prints out this color chart on your paper. You then take this calibration device and you run it over, okay? And it does the same thing it did for your screen for that print. The printer calibration is different. We recommend everyone do monitor calibration. Okay, monitor calibration is another huge part in closing this loop. The printer calibration, well, if you're using an Epson printer and you're buying Epson paper and you're using Epson ink and you're getting Epson profiles, all those things are kind of done for you. Okay? When you go to Red River's website and you get profiles from Red River, you're closing that loop in a lot of ways. The place where you would need printer calibration the most is if you got a hold of some paper at the flea market on a Saturday afternoon, and you're like, wow, this is good. It's that real fine art, rag paper, real textured, and there's no name on it, there's no nothing on it. You can't find a profile for it. That's where printer calibration would come in handy.
Right.
You'd run a test print through, and then you'd calibrate it, and it would build a profile for that paper.
Right. Now, a couple of different things here. GWC Photo had just mentioned, this is all really, really good, but it's easier to download the ICC profiles. And Renata has another question where she says, my Epson uses CMYK ink. Your Epson uses different ink
Yeah, that was part of that
happens
question.
to be this CMYK, like cyan, and magenta, and yellow and black, but it is not printing in CMYK mode per se. Okay, there's a big difference.
Yeah.
Now, the best way for you to think about this, so let's just knock both of those out in kind of one spot, because you said ICC profile. A lot of the times, now, Shiwi, if you're watching, I know, you're gonna talk about color, I know. But a large portion of the people that have problems with printing on these kinds of printers, the printers that you have at home, in this space, 24-inch, 17-inch, that kind of space, a lot of the printers are usually not problems with color, they're problems with brightness.
Yes.
It's almost never a problem that the print doesn't have the right color, but more that the prints print out too dark or too light in terms of brightness. So a lot of that stuff is usually solved by monitor calibration. When you're working on monitor calibration, they'll tell you to turn the dimness of your monitor all the way down, because we're just not used to the type of monitors that we have, LCD monitors versus old CRT monitors, dealing with candelas and like the amount of brightness that you have in a specific area.
Well, and it really started happening when LCD monitors became the norm. So when LCDs became the norm, that's when we saw this huge upshift in people saying my prints are too dark.
Now, Renata, when you talk about CMYK, so it's like, what, right? RGB out of your computer, but CMYK in the inks, what's happening is that ICC profile that you download off of the vendor for the specific paper, for the specific printer, is literally your translator. That is what's saying, I know what you're giving me out of Photoshop, I'm going to make the calculations of color, and I'm gonna make the calculations of the amount of ink I'm going to use for the specific paper that you're printing out. So the ICC profile is the key with all of that stuff. You use the right one for the right model, for the right printer, for the right paper, and you'll find that a lot of those problems, not all of the problems, but a lot of those problems are gonna get solved.
Yep.
So.
And the brightness one, you could solve the brightness one in a few different ways.
Renata, sorry.
You could solve the brightness one in a few different ways. One of the things that you'll be told right up front is to turn down the brightness of your screen. I don't like to operate with my screen at 20-30% brightness, so I don't work that way.
You know who does? Gnomes.
Yes. I like my nice big bright glossy screen on my computer, so and I'm not a gnome, so it stands to reason that I wouldn't do that. But when I do print, what I'll find is then I'll knock down the screen brightness to 20-30%, kind of look at how the image is looking, and then print it. Lightroom has a print brightness slider.
That's what I was going to say.
It's in the print. It's in the print panel.
If it should not give you any kind of problem to be able to, there is no adjust thy color slider in the print module, but there sure is a brightness and contrast adjustment in the print. So a lot of the times, what's happening is people know that they're bright, their LCDs and those panels are going to be really, really bright.
Yeah.
Compared to what the print is, and the print's gonna come out dark. So what they did is they gave you a section here where you could just kind of increase and decrease brightness for those prints to kind of get you closer to the target. Not perfect, not Shiwi Rodney perfect, just close enough. So.
All right. Let's see, a couple questions here. Pro tip, so this was sent in by someone. Find peers whose work you like and swap prints. Great way to stay inspired around your office/house. Great tip.
Now here, just dovetail on that kind of tip. One of the things that I did, I was telling you about Ybor City, right? I went out to Ybor City, a local place here in Florida where there was a place that was like a sandwich shop. And I walked up to a person and I said, hey, can I take a picture of you? And turned around and took a picture of him. Looked really, really cool, did it all up, went back home, turned around and grabbed a print and took that print down to him. And I said, here, take a look. This is beautiful. This is amazing. This is wonderful. Can I put this up on my wall? Absolutely, you can put this up on your wall. I'm hoping you put this up on your wall. Oh, and by the way, I have a couple of other pictures of this area. Would you mind it too much if you put these on your wall? Hey, my walls are empty. I got a bunch of crap here. I'm gonna go ahead and put these pictures up. Gotcha.
Yep.
What prevents you from doing that in your own town for local companies? Nothing. People are like, well, I wish I had a fancy gallery. You know what the difference between a photographer that doesn't have a gallery and a person who does have a gallery is?
What?
The person who has a gallery asked for one.
Yeah.
The person, if you're sitting there going, man, I wish I had a gallery. Well, did you ask somebody to put your pictures up?
There's a lot of great photographers out there that just never ask the question.
And people go, well, I can't make my prints work. And I'm like, well, how many times have you gone out to somewhere and gone, hey, listen, I'm a photographer. Take a look at my prints here. Would you like to put them up here?
And
who does that? Nobody does.
And so one of two things will happen. I mean, you can do it out of the kindness of your heart, which I think is a good thing. You know, you're sharing your work. You were out there, they inspired you, you shared a print with them. Right there. That should be payment enough. But once it gets up there, it continues to inspire them. They like having their print there, but you never know who walks into that place and says, I like that print on the wall, can I buy it? Oh yeah, I think I got the guy's card back here.
He asked me for a business card. Beth McNabb is right. It was on a photo walk. I gave him business cards.
I know
and
what
people
you're
called
talking
me
about.
up, and they were just like, "Hey, what do you want to do for printers?" If there's one thing that I tell people all the time, and I know it sounds nerdy and things like that, but I tell people that there is an infinite amount of stuff that happens in photography that doesn't have anything to do with this. It has absolutely nothing to do with hitting the shutter.
What happens in photography has
And
nothing
people turn
to do
around
with
and they
that.
go, well, how do I make it work? How do I get my prints out there? How do people buy stuff? And I'm like, you put it in places.
Yep.
You go and you take it to places. That's the difference between the person who's making it and the person who's sitting on the sidelines showing people, look, here's my iPhone. You like my pictures? They look great.
Pictures here. All right, we got another, more of a comment. Why is the paper profiles not common knowledge? I'm so shocked. It had never heard of it before. I don't think I've ever heard of it mentioned on any other Kelby Media Group show or class. It's like your little secret that you guys finally let slip.
I call bull.
Yeah, I call BS because if you go to kelbytraining.com,
we actually have an entire class.
There's a whole there's a whole class on it. If you watch, I know there's a class on printing. There's a class specifically on printing. I know it's mentioned there.
There will be another class coming.
There's a class on Photoshop where it's mentioned there. There's a class on Lightroom that I know I did, and I know I mentioned it there. So it's mentioned there. You might not have caught it, or you just fell asleep during that part.
Can you talk about sharpening for prints, please? Now,
yeah, that's a good question.
Here's something I'm going to tell you guys, just full disclosure. There are tons of different places for you to sharpen with prints. I like to use Nik software. Let me tell you why. Here's a print, or here's the common problem that people don't talk about. And it's one of those kind of like surprise moments. When you're shooting JPEG out of your camera, one of the things that it does is color, contrast, sharpness, right? When you shoot RAW, you don't get any of that.
Yeah.
So when you look at your pictures and you look at your pictures on your computer screen and you go, does that look a little soft? That's because it is soft, because there's no sharpness that's applied to it. There are two types of sharpness that generally people do on their prints. Something called pre-capture sharpness, which is generally done in the develop module, right? A little bit of sharpness when you're working with it, and then post sharpness. The amount of sharpness that I would put for a glossy print like this is probably very, very different from the sharpness that I would put
for the matte.
For a matte or for a textured paper. So
the ink spreads differently.
The ink spreads differently, and you're going to see it. So in the detail slider, there is some section over here where you would do some sharpness, right? And I'm going to log in or zoom in here, and I'll increase or decrease sharpness. But I don't use this. A lot of the times, what I'll do is I'll open this up in Photoshop, and inside of Photoshop, I use Nik Software's plugins. Right? It's $149, guys. Sometimes you can even find it for cheaper.
If you went to Photoshop World,
if you went to Photoshop World, everybody got it for free, so you missed out. But inside of here, this is what I do. I go in here, right? And this has probably already been sharpened, so just keep that in mind. I'm gonna go to Filter. Under Filter, I go to Nik Collection. There's the raw pre-sharpener. That's the one that I use. I go inside of there, and then I'll adjust this to taste. How much do you do? What's the correct percentage for this one? I don't care. I go over here and I go, let's see, a little bit more sharp. Oh, too much. Zoom out.
Is this for the print or is this?
This is my pre-capture.
Okay.
So I look at that
this
and
is
I
whatever
go,
looks good. Over sharpen it for a second. Zoom in and over sharpen it.
Okay, here.
Over sharpen the living daylights at. So zoom in a little bit. So that looks bad, guys.
Yeah, that's not good. So you know how much you do? This much.
Because I hear the question, how much do I sharpen? You sharpen it till it looks good. Sharpening's not a bad word.
Yeah.
Right?
From
Everybody sharpens their photos. So sharpen it until it looks good. And if you sharpen the living daylights out of it and it's at 300% and it still looks good, go for it.
Oh, can I tell you something? Also on the side, this picture, Kenna, HDR portrait. Teaser, never mind.
Will that be in?
Okay, so now from here, I'll go ahead and I'll click on OK. That's kind of the pre-capture sharpen that I'm doing in the very, very beginning. When I need to be able to print this for something, for a specific medium, I'll go to Filter, New Collection, and then under here, Output Sharpener. That's sending stuff out. The difference between this is that in here, it says, what are you sharpening for? For display? No, I'm sharpening for an inkjet. What's the viewing distance of a specific print, right? You sharpen more if it's gonna be further away, but less if it's gonna be closer. But you can say, well, my viewing distance, the print's gonna be about 2 to 5 feet away. What kind of paper is it? Well, it's gonna be a matte paper. What's the printer resolution? Well, let's go over here and take a look at that one. It will set this stuff up as it sees fit. From there, I click OK.
I was gonna say, can you zoom in, because
Oh,
I like to show people. So zoom in a little. So see that, guys? That looks over sharpened, but it should. Okay, it actually has to look a little bit over sharpened because it's going to spread out when that ink hits the paper.
well, because this is being printed on matte paper, which is going to give it a little bit more push away. And there's that. What was that? Do I do pre-sharpening in Lightroom? No, I don't. I generally don't. I was just wiggling it to kind of show you guys what I do. But a lot of the times, when I'm working on one picture to get it to a print, a lot of the times I bring it into Photoshop, do my pre-sharpen right there, and then from there, color adjust, and then output.
So if you're not going to print yourself, and you're going to send your print somewhere,
I did make you wait to the end of the show.
can I open my damn box?
Yes, you can.
All right, I'm going to get my...
Yes, you can. All right, so there's a couple of different surfaces that I usually tell people. And again, all of these other surfaces are really good at doing this. But there's a couple of different things that I think that you guys should consider. One of the first places that you should consider, Mpix. Now, we did this as an example. Mpix does a great job of a whole bunch of different things really, really fast. So what they did is, yes, use my car keys. So what we did is we said, let's go ahead and order a print. And it was 11 o'clock in the morning yesterday when we did this.
Well, it was 11 o'clock when he suggested it. By the time I remembered to do it, it was 1 o'clock.
So he sent a print to Mpix and said, all right, let's see how long it takes. And this is what the box looks like when it got back. So can you show them the box?
Yes.
This is what it looks like when you send a print to Mpix. He sent it 24 hours ago. Now, let's see what he actually got out of it. Because I thought it was I thought it was kind of cool. Look, all of this stuff that we're talking about is if you really want to make your own pasta, you want to make your own sauce. I understand the Alexandras of the world that are talking about this, that this could be a costly adventure. I got it. That does not necessarily mean that you still do not print. There are places like Mpix where you can send that stuff and you can really take advantage of not having to have a printer, not having to do that. So is it the same as you mixing your own salsa? No.
No.
But they do a great job.
The other thing is, guys, if you're shooting a wedding, you don't want to do this.
No, that is not for wedding folk.
No. If you're shooting a wedding, this is the place that you go. Okay? Yep. It's much, much different. Oh my gosh. Okay. So step number 2 is this is what everything looks like. So here.
Now, I tell people all the time, never underestimate what it actually feels like to get one of these things. You want to send something to somebody? Take a print. Send it to Mpix. When it comes, people are like, oh my God, look at that. Matt actually knows what he's doing as a photographer.
Yeah.
Right? Pete brings a box cutter.
Not much of a box opener, but.
Not a box opener, but he is a photographer. This looks fancy. So this is something that I think is really good.
Let's just say they're not going to get damaged in the mail.
No.
All right.
No.
I'll let you work on that part.
Okay, so What kind of print is this? Because depending on what kind of print it is depends on how hard I'm gonna rip on this.
All right. Gotta peel it. Hey, watch my fingers!
Now, Jerry says both Topaz and Nick have great sharpening algorithms. You're absolutely right. I happen to think both of them, I think both of them do have great sharpening algorithms. I just happen to be inside of the Nick. I'm just secretly paid by Google, obviously, apparently. So, no, I own all of the Nick software. I own the entire collection. So since I already own it, it's already there. That's the one that I use. So these are really nice, Matt.
Thank you.
Did you shoot these? That looks, no, I'm not saying it as in, did you shoot these as in, they're not good. I'm just saying, I didn't know that. Look, metallic. That looks cool. All right, here. I'm setting it down. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And there's, guys, there's something to be said about when you take your pictures out of your phone and you put it on top of this, you can have one or two different things. You can look at this and go, man, I really messed up. I should have done this. I should have done that. I should have worked on the, that's cool, dude.
That's where metallic works.
Yeah, that's really good.
That's metallic.
That's really, really good.
These are printed. They also have a matte board behind them, and you have that option when you're doing your printing.
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
It's kind of cool because you can, it's ready. You can hang it right there. I mean, you can put it on
like a little ledge.
A ledge of some sort.
Nice, 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 nice.
So,
okay. Yeah, metallic is just awesome.
I'm telling you, Waterfalls is.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So now imagine all of a sudden putting all of these in your house versus, hey, I'm a photographer. Take a look at the stuff on my iPhone. Click, 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 click.
You hand this to somebody or you hand your iPhone to somebody?
Again, there's nothing wrong with the iPhone. There's nothing wrong with the iPad. I think that they're invaluable tools.
And you've shown where you've walked up to, where you got this photo from. Where you got this photo from, you got this photo because you walked up with your iPad.
My iPad, because of my iPad.
But eventually, this is what somebody really remembers.
This is what I sent
when
people.
You sent this.
Right.
So.
Okay, so that was awesome. All right, so that's Mpix. Mpix does a bunch of different things. Now, other places that you would go. Whenever I do Canvas, I go to Artistic Photo Canvas. Let me show you this. Okay. So this is a picture that I did at Jade Mountain. Now, what do I like about Artistic Photo Canvas? A very eco-friendly, responsible inks, right? So a lot of that stuff, the environment is very, very important to them. So the quality of the inks that they use it's absolutely important to them. Attention to detail. Lou will not say, Lou is a fanatic about the type of prints that he puts up. And he puts it on canvas and he makes it look absolutely amazing. They hang, right? And they have these like self-hanging things now, which I think are awesome, right? The colors are phenomenal. He will pour over every bit of detail on this, and you can tell. One of the things that I think is really interesting about this, and it's kind of dumb to the general person until you really start seeing the quality. Look at the spacing between here and here. Can we zoom in? Here and here and here and here and here. They're all even. That's how much detail they spend on stretching it, putting it together. So whenever I need to be able to send a canvas, these are the guys that I go to. I go to Artistic Photo Canvas. They're phenomenal. Now, I'll tell you a story about this. So this was in St. Lucia. I took this at a restaurant in St. Lucia. I was doing this at a workshop with Joe McNally. I did this last year. Then I turned around and said, as a thank you, I printed one of these and I sent it to the manager of the restaurant, right? The owner and the manager of the restaurant. Well, I sent it to the owner. The manager took a look at it. And they were like, oh my God, that's amazing. Let's put it out. We want to see what the quality looks like. So we had walked into this restaurant on the property where she's like, that's amazing. Put it over here in the front. I can't believe it. That's awesome. We turned around and we sat down, right? We ordered a drink and we ordered an appetizer. Not 5 minutes after we put it down, somebody comes over to the manager of the place and goes, excuse me, one of the guests would like to find out if they can buy that print. Not 5 minutes.
Yep.
Now that has nothing to do, I mean, it has nothing to do with me as a photographer, but it has to do with the impact that something that big makes on somebody. Sure enough, 5 minutes later, sold.
Nice.
Done. That's what you want to do by getting your prints inside of those locations. That's how it works.
All right, you want to talk about acrylics?
Well, yeah, you've got the acrylics over there.
All right, so acrylic, people are digging. Acrylic seems to have made this this big resurgence lately. So here's one.
What do you like about acrylic?
I like the feeling. I like the glossy, and it's just it's just sharp. You know what I mean? It's just got that really sharp look to it. The sharp edges, and this one's from Mpix, and it actually, if you can zoom in, it's actually got these the little holes. See back there? So you put these little metal things on there, and so it kind of stands out from the wall. So I like those a lot. Here's another one. This one is from
Jasper Images.
Jasper Imaging.
Yeah, our buddy started this company, this acrylic company called Jasper Images. Now, that's a picture that I took in New York. I've had that printed on acrylic, I've had that printed on metal. One of the things that I like about acrylic is that a lot of the times when you print on something like this, you'll see thin acrylic, right? And then you see a float mount a lot of the times. So it's floated in the middle. So it looks like a giant square of a picture that's hung. You'll tend to see a lot of that kind of stuff on like Peter Lik galleries, right? If you go to a Peter Lik gallery, there's big acrylic looking prints. They tend to look very expensive. They tend to be not cheap, but they look gorgeous.
And we'll show our last one here, but guys, presentation is everything. So, and I say this, I admire you.
I'm going to put some URLs down for people.
I admire the heck out of Peter Lik. Okay, and when you're in the photography space, you hear for a successful photographer like that, and he's selling crazy amounts of images, people get jealous, and you hear a lot of negative things. I admire the heck out of Peter Lik. He's an amazing photographer.
He's an amazing Photoshop guy.
He's an amazing business person, and he is phenomenal about amazing Photoshop guy. I think he uses Photoshop.
No, he does not. He does not use Photoshop. His images
he shoots with a D800.
His images have not been retouched.
Nope, he doesn't say that anymore.
Oh, he doesn't?
Nope.
Ooh, nice. He's a great Photoshop guy.
I don't. Somebody's doing the post work. But I don't know if it's him or not. But
I think
I've seen him shoot with a D800. But anyway.
The only reason that I say that is because I went to the Peter Lik Gallery in Vegas at Photoshop World, and I'm staring at the pictures, and I'm like, he's good, dude. You got to give it to him, dude. He's got a gallery in Vegas. You got to give props to the guy. And I'm walking around, and the people that are there are like this. This is the look that I got. And I'm like,
they saw your Photoshop World
what?
badge.
I was wearing the Photoshop World instructor badge. I could not have gotten dirtier looks at the Peter Lik Gallery. I'm like, guys, I like his stuff. Same team.
I don't know that he's doing a ton of posts, but I don't know that they still say the same thing. Anyway, back to amazing photographer, amazing business person, and they know how to display their photos. I can tell you this, when you walk through Peter Lik's gallery, and this is not a ding on Peter, many of the photos taken in there, you can take within a 5-minute walk of the parking lot. Okay? It's not about the locations, although the locations are beautiful. It's about the presentation.
And he presents extremely well.
Mastered in presentation, and it really is all about that. And that's why those acrylics look like what they do, and that's why they look so great in the wall.
Now,
last one.
When it comes to presentations, and I'm unabashed about this, if you've been in a Photoshop World or Photo Plus, printing on aluminum, I am a huge fan of this. Right? This is an aluminum print. So this print, if you want something that looks like it's almost backlit, this is it. It's just gorgeous, gorgeous color. This is shot.
Look at it. I mean, it looks like it's backlit on there.
Dude, this is shot from the top of the hotel, the Essex House Hotel on 59th Street. This is actually Columbus Circle right here, and then this is 59th, and then this is the West Side right here on this side. So. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Now, the people that we do that with is with Image Wizards. So, imagewizards.net, those are the people. Roger is fanatical. Just like Lou is fanatical about canvas, Roger is fanatical about aluminum. Those are the people that I go to. So
Lou, Roger, they have personal stake and ownership in what they do.
And you can tell. And you can absolutely tell. So,
Jasper Imaging, Stephen, again.
Fanatic.
Yeah.
So these are the people that we go to for the presentation. So does that mean that we print I sit at my house and I print everything? No, it doesn't. When I need to be able to get a lot of products, a lot of different types of things out, dude, my first call is Mpix.
Yep.
I'm done, right? If I need to be able to sell something that I want that kind of, oh, look at you, Peter Lick, that I send over to Jasper, okay? That I'll send over to Artistic Photo Canvas. That I'll send over to Image Wizards.
Yeah. A lot of it depends on the image too.
Depends on the image.
So, all right. I think we've gone way over time.
Ooh.
They want you to give away those pictures you just got from Mpix as prizes.
Oh, I think we can do that.
You want to do that?
All right. Yeah. We can do
Okay,
it.
we'll do that.
We'll give away, okay, so here, and we have some books too. I think they're over on our other desk. We have Peter Reed Miller has a brand new sports photography book. Brand new sports photography book that we will give away as well. How do you enter the contest?
We're giving it away all of Matt's prints. Let's see.
KelbyTV.com?
Yep, you go to KelbyTV.com. And then over here, you go to contest. Under the contest section, you tell us which show you're watching, right? It's obviously the grid, your name, your email, your website, and what prints you would like. No, actually, we're just giving away Matt's prints. Okay.
And by the way, Mpix has a huge sale today, so 25% off.
Oh,
up
nice.
until midnight tonight.
If you're a NAT member, Artistic Photo Campus has got a discount too.
Yeah. So make sure you hit them up. That's up until midnight tonight, but 25% off is
Alexandra says RC.
Big.
I'm assuming she wants one of my prints. I'm sorry. Those are actually off my wall, the acrylic and the metal ones. I can't do that.
All right, so Cara Plakonic. I hope I pronounced her last name, but I've met her before. Great person. What's it called? Album Moxie. So she shows how to make albums with InDesign. Mm-hmm. I should double check that, but that's what I learned from her.
Nice.
Yeah, she shows how to make albums within. Nobody's doing this stuff. She does a really great job at it. And she's a great teacher too. So those are the two books that we're giving away.
At the end of this show, I'll just I'm going to take these two prints. And do you want these? If anybody wants a Star Wars print, if you guys want one, I don't know why you would, but if you're into Star Wars and you want one, I'll give you that one. I don't know why you would want a picture of Kenna, but if you do, I'll give you that one too.
Throw your name on the list here, and make sure you keep an eye out for RC's upcoming print pack ship class, because this is where you'll kind of dive into to all this and
this is
how
like a
you
lot.
ship prints.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about that part yet. We haven't. I mean, I want to get into
you do more than roll them up and put them in a tube.
Right.
So
I want to get more into that kind of stuff. There's a lot more to it. If you're interested in that kind of stuff, Kelby Training is going to be a great place for you to check it out.
All right, so we got the Mpix discount out there. We got the books, the contest, RC's class. Check out the Worldwide Photo Walk. Make sure if you haven't signed up already, get out there, do a photo walk. Jump into a photo walk. And Petey, thanks for doing the comments today. Juan,
now they're wanting the printers.
Now they want the printer.
They want the printer.
Is Dano in the chat? Dano, can no, I'm just totally kidding.
Hey, he could.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't want to give away one of my printers. I'm sorry.
We're not giving away ours, but Dano's free to give away one if he wants to. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. We appreciate it. Dude.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, man. See you next week.
Take care.
This week's episode of The Grid is sponsored by Mpix. Shoot today, upload tonight, we ship tomorrow. On One Software, focused on photography. Peach Pit Press, publishers of technology books, ebooks, and videos for creative people. Epson, exceed your vision. Expo Imaging, rogue flash benders for speedlight enthusiasts. Intel, the power you need for hardcore creatives. Squarespace, everything you need to create an exceptional photography website. And B&H Photo, the professional source.